Well, guys, once again, good evening. Welcome to our session. Remember that today basically is like, we can say the end in terms of some content. Of course, tomorrow we will have the project presentation and then like the final review. So we can say that while counting this first part and on the second part of the session, we will be discussing the final, why not grammatical components that the session has. Okay, that would be it. And then let's say that we officially will be talking about the different aspects related to the project. Yesterday, I sent you an email with very general information. I know that up to this point, the information for you is like very obvious, but anyway, like let's say, formal moment to have a look at the aspects related to the project presentation. But that is going to happen, let's say, when we are about to finish our session. That is going to be the idea. In case that you have any questions, of course, you will let me know. But as usual, we are going to start with the attendance. Another reminder is don't forget to continue working on the virtual campus. Remember that we are going to finish our cycle on Thursday. That's the final day. Let's take attendance so we can begin. Let's see. There it is. Well, actually, some of you haven't arrived yet, but we have to start, especially with all the aspects that we have to cover tonight. Karen Victoria.
Present, teacher.
Is Karen here? I think I saw her. Karen Victoria Acevedo.
Present.
Okay. And then just one thing. Okay, the sound is, well, the important thing is that I can listen to you and you can listen to me. It's okay. Steven Santiago.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Sergio David Gómez.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Kiara Lizeth Martínez.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Jorge Jair.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Diego Fernando.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Dana Valentina.
Present, Miss.
Manuel Ortiz. Not here for the moment. Joan Sebastián Pavón. Not here for the moment. Beatriz Pedraza.
Present, Miss.
Okay. Hamilton Peña. He already sent the information. Xiomara Caterina Rincón.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Jessica Paola Ríos.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Caterina Alexandra Rodríguez.
Present, Miss.
Okay. Marlon Gisette Sánchez. Okay, Marlon is not here for the moment. Let me see the chat. Manuela is here. Let me adjust it. Yes, Manuel. Ya le hice aquí el cambio y bueno, ahorita cuando ingrese Marlon, eventualmente. Mendy Fabián Santa.
Teacher, present.
Ok. Manuel Alberto Sepúlveda.
Present, teacher.
Ok. Karen Juliet Torres.
Present.
Okay. María Alejandra Vega.
Present teacher.
Okay. Vanessa Zambrano.
Present teacher.
Okay. And Natalia Navarro. That just took part of the session in this moment. There you are.
Present.
That's it. Oiga, sé que tonight I'm having problems with my microphone. Se supone que el sonido debería estar ingresando por los headphones, but it is not doing like that. So, just in case, that's the reason why. Para terminar de aclarar, bueno, Hamilton ya había enviado el soporte. The ones that are not here for the moment are Joan Sebastián Pavón and Marlon. Anyway, they still have a couple of extra minutes. Well, actually like 4 minutes and something in case that they can take part of the session. Okay, guys, as I was telling you, Santiago, yes.
Teacher, excuse me. Do the new students have to do the activities in the virtual campus or not? Because, well, for my part, we haven't received an user nor anything else. About the
Santiago, actually, yeah, during the session on Tuesday, last Tuesday, I show you that you were all enrolled already in the virtual campus.
Yes, through the email.
No, in class, I told you at the beginning of the session.
Oh, Jesus. I don't remember.
Oh, Jesus, yes, because that day, even when I presented, let's say, officially that information, Karen had already started doing the activities. Yeah, you didn't really receive like an official email. Well, you don't really receive an official email. It's like you are enrolled, and then I shared the information with you last Tuesday.
Okay, teacher. Well, I will looking for that email and the information for start to do the activities. Thank you, teacher.
Well, actually, Santiago, also when we started the cycle, let me refresh maybe your memory a little bit. First, let me share the whole screen. I was telling you that in our folder that is called materials, among all like the information that we have in here, one was ingreso a la plataforma Moodle. So with this, maybe you remember that I was telling you guys like, okay, be ready when you need to go to the virtual campus. So you have already, let's say, put your information, like you can actually log in. And then when you had to start doing the activities, you had already saved some time. But yeah, the information was already here, Santiago. Well, I hope that you can advance as much as possible from today to Thursday. That's a deadline.
Yes, teacher. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. I saw that another person took part here of the session, but I don't remember the name. Well, I guess you want Natalia, no? Well, guys, as I was telling you today, we continue working on our unit 14. In this case, one of the final topics that we will study on this unit are verbs and phrases about money. And in terms of grammar, we will be talking about narrative tenses review. Notice that as the name says, that means that we will be talking about different grammatical components that you already know. And we will just have like a very quick look of all the different aspects and characteristics that each narrative tense has for you to practice it a little bit, especially because narrative tenses, as you can imagine, are very common when we're talking about written production, stories, anecdotes, and stuff. And as you know, one of the exercises that we have in the exam, a typical written exam, includes writing a text. So this is a very, let's say, interesting exercise that we can use to practice. Well, guys, as usual, we are talking about our book. That means that we are working on pages 126 and 127. Basically, this is going to be the core of the information that we will be using from our unit. Going back here to the PowerPoint presentation. I took these first aspects of vocabulary from the book, of course, based on the first activity that we have. I'm going to read the whole instruction. Look at the verbs involved in the questions and decide which ones increase the amount of money you have and which ones decrease the amount of money you have. Let's say that all the questions have the same beginning. Have you ever? And then all the verbs begin to appear. So the first exercise, guys, that you're going to do is going to be to classify these 10 verbs in particular. We're talking about these, well, the questions in general, but the words involved, like very specifically, talking about which of those words are actually increasing the amount of money and which ones are about decreasing the amount of money. Okay, so let's read the statements that we have in here. Of course, as usual, I count on your help. Vanessa, please, could you read the statements 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5?
Okay, teacher. Have you ever won any money? Have you ever lost a large amount of money? Have you ever earned a lot of money? Have you ever inherited
Inherited.
a lot of money? Have you ever spent a lot of money on a present for someone?
That would be it. Thank you very much, Vanessa. And let's read from 6 to number 10, Karen Juliet.
Have you ever saved up a lot of money to buy something? Have you ever paid a fine for something? Have you ever lent money to someone? Have you ever borrowed money from someone? And have you ever forgotten to pay back money you have borrowed?
Borrowed. Very good. So guys, remember, the first part is going to classify. Don't answer the questions yet. Remember the instructions. As you can imagine, because we have 10 questions, 5 of these questions are about increasing and 5 of these questions are about decreasing. I'm pretty sure that most of the verbs are, let's say, already known for you. But anyway, I'm gonna give you 3 minutes to classify them. That would be it. This is our first activity. Guys, do you have any questions about the instructions? Questions?
No, miss, what the mind, what does signify inherit?
What is the meaning
What
of
is the meaning?
inherited? Usually in this context would be like when your parents, well, it's a kind of awful example. When your parents die and you receive the properties that they had, and maybe they left money for you.
Okay, thank you, miss.
Okay. Let's see the chat. That would be the idea, Jorge. Excellent. Well, guys, 3 minutes to classify. Remember, 5 for increase and 5 for decrease. 3 minutes starting now. Well, guys, time's up. Remember that for the moment, the idea was to classify the questions based on two perspectives, increasing and decreasing the amount of money. So based on the information and what the verbs were telling us, I would like to ask Sergio, which 5 verbs actually talk about increasing the amount of money?
Teacher, we won any money,
Okay,
earn a lot of money,
number 3 as well, very good. What else?
inherit a lot of money,
Inherited, okay, very
Yeah.
good. 2 more. Which other 2, Sergio?
Teacher, the last, but
Number
I
10,
don't know.
not really, that's tricky. Yeah, because it said that you actually like forget to pay back. So, so for the moment, you have already said number 1, number 3, and number 4. Well, I'm gonna ask for extra help. What do you think, Jorge? Besides, we're talking about increasing. We had number 1, number 3, and number 4. Which other 2 are related to increasing the amount of money? Jorge? Isn't Jorge here? There is, okay, Vanessa, you are gonna help us. Okay. So,
Teacher, the 6, take up,
mhm,
9, borrowed money, es como prestar, o bueno, pidió prestado, ¿sí?
borrow es pedir prestado. Yeah, we gotta be careful with like the perspective.
Okay.
Borrow would be that, pedir prestado. Mientras que lend viene siendo prestar. Uno es el que da la plata. Let's put it like that. Okay. Very good, Vanessa. Thank you for your help. So in conclusion, the ones about increasing, number 1, number 3, number 4, number 6, and as Vanessa already helped us, number 9. Guys, just to clarify, to make sure that all of us are on the same page. In this case that we are talking about money, what will be the difference between won and earned?
No, teacher, I think one is when you receive money, but you didn't work for it. I mean, you just, it's like a price.
Okay.
But earn is when you, it's when you work and you get paid. So you earn that money.
That would be it. Very good. Thank you, Manuel. Talking about working, like, or talking about certain efforts, that would be the idea of earning it. Of course, earn is not only used in the context of money, but also related to the context that you really work hard for something and this is the final result for you. Okay, guys. I think that you have already looked at the questions, like on detail, of course, to analyze them. And also probably while you were reading the questions, you were thinking about maybe some experience that you have had with some of the situations that were presented here on these 10 questions. This is what we're going to do, guys. This activity is the next activity that now I'm officially presenting is going to be divided into 2 parts. This is going to be part 1. You're going to choose one of the questions from the activity that we just did, and you're going to complete the chart. So in the chart, you're going to write the question that you chose. And you're gonna share some details about it. When it happened, talking about like that moment, where it happened, what were you doing when it happened? And if you had experienced that situation before. For the moment, and notice the instruction that I'm giving you here, guys, provide general information for each answer. Let's say that we are brainstorming, you know, like we're talking about very general ideas in order to complete the chart. As I told you, this is like the first step. We will use this information later, of course, but I don't need you for the moment to expand like with many details on each box. That's not the idea. First, choose one of the questions, answer the 4 questions. Of course, not one word. It's not like the whole opposite of the idea, but once again, I don't need you like to expand way too much because eventually we will be using this information, okay? Guys, do you have any questions about the instruction?
No
Usually,
question.
thank you. Usually we do this type of activities around the end of the session, but remember that this is going to be like the first step for us. I listened like a microphone over there. Maybe there was a question. Okay. Well, guys, I'm going to send you the link to the chat. And what I'm going to do now is to share with you our typical picture, you know, that is related to the slide that you have to be working on. Remember, guys, that in every single cycle, we change our slides. So if you in the
Teacher.
past working on a slide number 3, maybe this is slide number 4.
Teacher,
Yes.
can you please before presentation for the please?
Beatriz, the sound, it's a little bit horrible. Maybe you're having problems with the connection. I think that maybe you're asking the same question.
I have
that I
problem
had in
my
the
internet
chat.
in the moment.
Don't worry.
The print screen, the question, teacher.
Oh, okay, very good. You know, the questions are also on the book, guys, just in case. Let me go back. These are the questions. Probably if you want to take a screenshot of it, let me turn my camera off so I don't appear on that picture that you take. Did you take the screenshot, guys? Remember that just in case, these questions are on our book. Sorry, are here on our book, page 126, just in case. Okay. I'm going to share the image with the list. And I'm going to check that actually you are working on the list that corresponds to you. Remember, guys, the first thing to do is going to be for you to write down your names. Let's see. Natalia wrote her name on slide number 7. That's her position. Very good, Natalia. There is only one name. Okay. Vanessa on slide 22. Excellent. Okay, Karen already in the first one, Stephen on the second one. Perfect. I think that in terms of the slide that you are supposed to be working on, everybody is already set. So I can share with you the questions again. That is the slide that you actually want to see. Very good. So remember, guys, the information that you are going to include, when it happened, where it happened, what were you doing when it happened, and if you had experienced that event that is presented in the question before. Remember, guys, very general ideas. We're just like brainstorming, you know. Anyway, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. That is a good amount of time for this type of exercise. I will be having a look at your answers very quickly, just like scanning. Eventually, we will analyze the information a little bit more. Well, guys, just in case, probably for the ones that maybe you're using your cell phone or something. Anyway, I invite you like to write down maybe on your notebooks to have like the information ready in case that I ask you. If you're from your cell phones, no problem. But anyway, you can do the exercise, writing down. Eventually, tomorrow, hopefully, you can write it down on the slide, okay? Well, guys, I'm not going to interrupt you. This is the, remember, only one question. Well, we still have like some minutes left. Well, actually 8 minutes. I don't want to interrupt you anymore.
Miss, can you send the link, the diapositive, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
teacher.
Yes.
¿Cómo se dice se venció la fecha del libro?
Se venció la fecha del libro. What are you talking about?
La
fecha del préstamo del libro.
Sí, exacto.
Ah, like in a library.
Sí. Sí, señora.
It's not a deadline. It's not a contract. Well, actually, you have to think about it.
Ujú.
I'm gonna send it to the chat.
Ok.
Well, guys, time's up. Remember that for the moment, what we are doing is just to brainstorm some ideas. Keep in mind that the intention is to provide very general information. This is like the first part of an activity that we will be developing today. Probably you remember from the topics that we are going to study tonight. I'm just having a very quick look. I'm just scanning. I'm not giving you like any feedback yet. Okay. I know that some of you are from your cell phone, so maybe you can't edit this slide, but I really hope that you're actually taking notes on your notebook. So eventually, when I ask you a few questions, of course, you can participate. Okay, but some of you are not here as well. Okay. Well, guys, I'm gonna ask you like to stop this activity for a moment, so you like don't continue writing down, because the idea is that we're going to move to the next part of our session. Actually, to make sure that you actually pay attention to what we are doing, I'm going to change here the parameters of the slide. So for the moment, while we continue in our session, you can't edit it. Okay, that would be it. Let me refresh. Because I know that maybe you will continue writing down while we keep on like having a look at the information that we are supposed to study in the moment. And I want all your attention in here. Of course, I will give you editing permissions when we go back to the information that you have just written on your slide. Well, guys, as I was telling you, we're going to stop a little bit because we're going to focus on the next part. Let me share the whole screen with you. Remember that one of the topics that we're going to study tonight is talking about narrative tenses, but we said that we are talking about a review, which means that, and you will notice, of course, we are already like familiar with these grammatical tenses. It's just like to refresh our memory of what those tenses are about. Let's have a look here. Remember, guys, we are working on our page 126. Let's have a look at the instruction that we have here for this activity. Let me zoom out. In case that you're wondering in which part of the book we are, this is the section where we are working in this moment. Let me zoom in once again. Let's have a look at the instruction that we have in here, but I'm gonna ask someone to read that instruction. Maria Vega, could you read this instruction for the activity, please?
Read the story below and decide which of the headlines fits best.
Very good. Could you read? Yes, please. Thank you. Oh, well, I was going to ask you also to read the headings.
What a waste of money. B, never borrow money from your friends. C, grandly yours can stop spending.
Very good. Thank you, Maria. So these are the three headings that we have. Here we have a very short story. Of course, the idea that based on the details and let's say the different information that is being shared, you guys have to decide which of these headings is actually the one that fits better. Of course, once again, we continue with the idea of talking about money. Guys, from the information that we have in the headings, do you have any question related to vocabulary?
Yes, my teacher. What does waste means? At the first headline.
The first one, waste would be a synonym of spent, but in the case of waste, it has a negative connotation.
Okay, thanks, teacher.
Okay, Santiago, great. Any other question, guys? Well, I want to ask you, what about greedy? What's the meaning of this one, greedy? Who remembers that one?
Codicia. Codicioso.
Okay, yeah. Like greedy would be like a very exaggerated way, let's say when people want money. But what Jorge says is just perfect. Okay, well, and we already had a look at borrow when we were doing the first activity, organizing and choosing the question, right? Let's see. It is a kind of short story, noted that because of the colors and stuff, it looks like it was taken from a newspaper. Of course, as usual, I'm going to count on you to read this piece of information. I would like to start with Manuela. Begin with one day until a fourth before. Manuela, I see that your microphone is on, but there is no sound.
Teacher?
Now it is.
Okay, again. One day, Englishman George Jenkins was looking at his bank account online when he noticed there was an extra 1,000
pounds.
Sorry, teacher?
Pounds.
Okay.
But let's say the number again, Manuela. I mean, remember that this symbol The currency is pounds.
I say first pounds or
No, that would be the
indefinite?
last part of the number.
Okay, 100, 1,000. I don't know, I'm confused.
Don't worry. Because you said 100, 1,000, no. 100,000 pounds.
100,000 pounds in it. He started spending the money immediately. He organized expensive parties for his friends and bought things he hadn't been able to afford before.
Very good. Just one thing, Manuela. Noticed. You said noticed, noticed.
Noticed. Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Let's continue with the second part. Catherine Alexandra, from the money until full amount. Catherine Alexandra.
Yes, miss.
There you are.
Sorry,
Don't
I'm
worry.
walking the street. Yes. The money actually belonged to a much richer man with the same name, but when the bank realized their mistakes, George had spent 85 pounds, 80,005 pounds. Court ruled that the money wasn't his and ordered him to pay back to the full amount.
Catherine, perfect. Thank you very much. So notice a difficult situation in here. Well, first of all, we can already analyze that it's a situation in past, and of course, its ending is not as happy as we may have expected. Guys, just to clarify, any questions related to vocabulary from the text that you just have read? Okay. Well, guys, first of all, I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to think, based on the story that Manuela and Catherine have already read. And keep in mind the first activity to be done with this text, to choose the best heading that actually fits the information that is being presented on this mini article. I'm going to give you just 2 minutes, okay? And then we're going to see what your final decision is. Remember, choose one of these headings based on the information presented. 2 minutes starting now. Okay, guys, thumbs up. Let's see what your final decision is. Valentina, you already read the information, probably analyzed some details of the story. What would be the final decision? What's the title? What do you think? Let's see the chat. Jorge says sí. Let's see if Valentina agrees or disagrees. Valentina.
Yes, Miss. Sí.
What do you think, Valentina? Could you read the title that you chose, please?
Sorry, can you repeat me?
Yes. Which title did you choose?
Sí.
¿Sí?
Sí, sí, ese.
Sí, sí. Don't confuse Valentina. Okay, very good. That's the one. Of course, he can't stop spending. Thank you very much. And also, Jorge, you answered your answered in the chat. Well, guys, you already noticed that the story had like different moments that were presented on the text. Let me go back to the presentation in here. We can't deny that while reading at the story, of course, there were different events that were presented. When we're talking, before having a look at the information that I'm presenting here, when we're talking about an event that already happened in the past, we can say past simple is perfect and it's more than enough. And we can say any event in past by only using past simple, and in terms of communication, it's okay. But of course, that would be a very plain way of speaking. That is why we have this whole idea tonight to talk about the narrative tenses. When we talk about narrative tenses, their core, the main intention is to talk about the past, and the idea of using them precisely would be in moments like when we're talking about the stories, we're talking about descriptions, or when we are talking about personal anecdotes. I already told you, we can use only past simple. So what would be the idea of using narrative tenses? To give the story a more dynamic perspective. So it is not plain using past simple. We can add progress, we can add extra events, like we can see something before that happened, let's say during, or that happened at the same time of the main story, the main event of the story. And that is the intention when we're talking about narrative tenses. For the moment, we're going to talk about 3. There are 4. But for the moment, we're going to focus on 3. Past simple, of course, that is the basic one. Past continuous, and then we have past perfect. Let's say that these 3 are the 3 components when we're talking about narrative tenses. And remember, we're talking about a review. So we're going to refresh our memory about the 3 of them. Of course, we begin with past simple. As the name states, we're talking about any action or any activity that it's taken from a specific point in the past. When we use past simple, why is that capital letter doing that? When we're talking about past simple, usually in a story or inside a description, which is the main intention of these narrative tenses, and because they are related to the main events and actions in the story. So when we're talking about the most important moments in a story, we tell them in past simple. Of course, let's refresh our memory with the grammatical component. I visited Italy last summer. Last year, I went to Korea. I didn't go to school yesterday. Usually, we use expressions that lead us to recognize that we are talking about past simple. Expression like last year, yesterday, or last summer. Any combination with last is about past. Second, we already know that we have 2 types of verbs. Regular, like the case of visit, or irregular, like the case of went. As you already know, the base form is go. And when we have the negative form, we always use an auxiliary. Remember that they are like mandatory when we're talking about negative sentences. And thanks to the auxiliary, we don't need to make any transformation to the verb, okay? That goes just like that. So in this whole context, talking about narrative tenses, when we use past simple, although it's kind of obvious, that we're talking about finished events in the past, this is the tense when we want to talk about the most important moments of our story. That will be the first one. Let's have a look at number 2. We're talking about past continuous. As the name states, also the other name is past progressive, by the way. When we use it, we're talking about first an action that is in progress, you know, at a specific point in time. Also, now in the context of the narrative tenses, we use past continuous to describe the background of the story. It is not a main event. It's just extra information that I'm using to enrich that story that I'm sharing with whatever I want. For example, I said, it was raining yesterday. But in this case, that sentence is not that, let's say, important or dramatic compared when I combine it with a different idea. Remember, it is just about context. Kelly was not studying English last night. The students were running in the classroom. Just to analyze the grammatical components that past continuous have. Notice that we always use the verb to be. We have was and were, of course. The main verb, the one talking about the progressive action, of course, goes with ing. And in case that I need to make the statement negative, I only include not. Remember that with verb to be, I don't need to use any type of auxiliary. Just adding not is more than enough. So, past simple to talk about the main events. Past continuous for progression and just to provide context to the information that I'm sharing. And the other tense that we are reviewing tonight is talking about past perfect. Usually past perfect goes to talk about an action that happened before a certain point in the past. That means that usually past perfect happens before the main event of the story. Technically, the idea of past perfect is to enrich the information that we say in past simple. It doesn't mean that we always have to use past perfect and past simple in the same sentence. I can say only an idea in past perfect and that's okay. But remember, we're talking about the context of narrative tenses, not just talking about grammar rules in general. Inside this whole situation, the idea that they're going to help to give more details about an event, in this case, the main event, which is in past simple. For example, the train hadn't departed by the time I got to the station. Notice that this is the statement in past simple. I got to the station. And this is the statement in past perfect. The train hadn't departed. Once again, the grammatical components. Hadn't in the case of negative. After Kelly had finished her homework, she played computer games. Once again, she played computer games will be the main event. This is an event that happened in relation of time with this activity. Because of after, of course, is complementing something that happened after that. After Kelly had finished her homework, she played computer games. So first, she did the homework. Second, she played computer games. And as I was telling you, it is not like we can use only past perfect in combination with past simple. I can say, I know about it for quite a while. And it's a complete statement with a full idea. But remember, in our context, the idea is to combine it. In some cases, you can use the contraction with the D. I'm sure that you may be thinking, but would is also this contraction. We need the whole context to avoid confusions, okay? So remember, we're talking about tenses that we use to tell stories. Somehow we can classify them into 3 different categories. Past simple, to talk about the main events or the most important moments of the story. Past progressive, to talk about progression and also to give context. And past perfect, to talk about something that happened, could be after, usually, or before the main event. Probably we're more familiarized with past continuous, maybe, but past perfect, as I was telling you, with the other 2 tenses provide a more dynamic idea when we're telling a story, okay? I'm going to put this slide that summarizes the grammatical combinations of all of them. Guys, do you have any questions? I'm going to take some water while you ask. Questions?
Profe,
Yes.
no entiendo cuándo se usa el past perfect.
Let's put it. Do you have, let's say, clear the type of grammar that we use in past perfect, right? What would be past perfect? Well, I'm gonna ask you if you don't mind. What would be past perfect in Spanish? For example, this sentence. And until this part, the train hadn't departed. What would be the meaning of that sentence? Well, it is negative. I hope that you don't mind. Let's analyze only the first part. The train hadn't departed. What does that mean? Well, not only for the question being asked, no había qué.
Partido, salido.
Es partidos, yo creo que podemos usar, o salido suena mejor, ¿verdad? Usually when we're talking about transportation, and especially in this case that we're talking about train. Pues, el tren no había salido. Notice that in this case, this statement is basically providing me extra information in terms of time for the main event by the time I got to the station. I just want to place an event before the main event. So if I put, let's say, an organization in terms of the ideas, I said that first I went to the station, and second, when I arrived to the station, the train was still there. That is the idea of past perfect. The action is completed before a certain point in the past. And as Jorge said, había, when we use it is because it goes even behind past simple in general. Like in the second sentence, if we analyze like the two events that we have in here, we can say that event number one, she finished the homework. And when she finished the homework, the action that went after finishing the homework was to play on the computer. So once again, this is a complement of an event that happened in past simple. This is the main event. She played computer games, but I want to talk about something that happened even before playing computer games. In this case, the event was to finish the homework. That is the idea of past perfect. It goes before past simple. Better? The same?
Yes, teacher.
Sorry?
Yes.
No me digas sí solo por decir sí. The thing is that it is a tricky tense, I have to be honest. And it is tricky because we don't use it a lot. We are more familiarized with past simple. We use it all the time. A little bit with past continuous because then we know that we can talk about like present continuous but in past. And then past perfect appears. And as I was telling you, we already have past simple and now we're going to talk about something even before past simple. So in case, because probably for some of you, this is like the first time that we officially feel forced to use, don't feel afraid to rely a little bit on Spanish. In this case, probably that is a good way to make that comparison. Don't hate Spanish in this moment because you need to compare it with something, and that's okay. Let's put it into practice. That is going to be the idea now, and maybe we can see better how it works. Remember, guys, that at the beginning, you chose one of the questions and you were answering some questions, about it. When the event happened, where it happened, what you were doing, and also notice that this question that we had at the end is in past perfect. Have you had that experience before? And you were answering the question probably without even noticing that we were talking about past perfect. And notice the idea. We are talking about if this event that you are sharing in the question already happened even in the past. So You already lived the experience, and in this part, I'm asking you if actually before that experience, there were another experience talking about the question that you chose. So notice that we're talking about past of the past. Guys, what you're going to do now is to add a second box to your slide, okay? Notice I'm going back here. Well, for the moment you can't because I didn't allow you to edit anymore. This is what you're going to do when I give you the chance, of course. You are going to add a second box, okay? And let's say like this, and you're going to write your story, story. So, with the details that you shared at the beginning, remember that on this part, you were brainstorming, guys, okay? Now what you're going to do is to write the story. What's the idea? Make sure that you use past simple, that you use past continuous, and that you also include past perfect. This is the moment, let me go back to the slide. This is a moment to put the tenses into practice. You are the owners of your story. You know exactly how the events happened to go and to provide like the different moments in terms of, let's say, time development. So you know which are the main events. Let me go back, talking about past simple. Which things or which actions were in progress, and even which actions happened before the main event. That is going to be the idea on this part. So guys, once again, I'm officially changing the editing settings. Maybe refresh the slide just in case, so you can actually start editing. Could you please let me know if you can edit your slide one more time?
No, teacher, I can't.
Okay, I guess that I have to share the link again, probably. But it's okay. I'm gonna send the link, probably changed. There you go. But, okay, whatever. Just in case, refresh the page, guys. Can you edit now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, welcome. Yeah, the link changes. Okay, guys, this is going to be the idea. I'm gonna give you, because it is 100 words, I'm gonna give you first 15 minutes. I'm gonna be here in case that you have any question. Start writing down your story. Remember that the idea is to give it more dynamic view, not only everything in past simple. Remember that you already answered some questions about them. So it is going to be your point of reference. Guys, the maximum is 100 words, okay? Make it short. You notice that 100 words is like 7 lines at the end of the day. And what's the issue of the story? Wait. Remember, guys, that you chose a question, right? So now you are going to give the answer of the question in the story. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like imagine that someone asks you this question, and of course you are not going to say only yes or no. You are going to tell the whole story behind the answer of that question. And you're going to talk about that event that already happened in your life. Well, guys, I don't want to interrupt you anymore. 15 minutes, I will be checking your slides. Let me share only this one for the moment. Let me know if you have any questions. I know that you are still having a look at your ideas. I'm just going to check your slides, probably to give you help in case that you need. You have to pay that fine while you're starting. As Santiago, maybe this treating could be adjusted. Maybe you mean was trying. Because treating is like tratar enfermedades o tratar other things. Let's see. And well, when we're talking about the reason for something, like in this case, you were trying to get money to organize. Like 2 is the reason and 4 would be like the receiver. And the intention in this case is like to provide the reason. So decided to do a raffle. Okay. When I was 20, I moved to Bogota. Okay. Sergio, remember that in this type of combined or kind of conditional, when I was 20, comma, I moved to Bogota. Minor things, but no, after 20, Sergio, when I was 20, comma, okay. Kiara, where is Kiara? You have to put the box, you know? I don't put it, you put it. Let's see. Jorge's. When I was 18 years, I wanted to have a good computer for gaming video games with friends. Okay. I only. Natalie. So last year in December 12th, comma, we were walking in the mall with my best friend. Let me see if I'm sharing the whole screen. No. Los tengo adivinando, lo siento. And decided to enter to the casino while the function began in the cinema. Okay, very good. And notice that you already started with contrast. We're walking in the mall would be like context, and decided to go to the casino is an important event for you. Very good. So look at Diego's. Okay, you started already with the past perfect. Very good. Like the past of the whole story that already happened in the past, and it's a good strategy. I were. Why were, Diego? You have in 2019, I were working. Or I was. Acá también. Mira. Same time I was ending. And also the same like in terms of alignment, Diego. If you say the work. And keep also the, in this case, alignment in tense. Small letter I can is present. What will be the past version of can, Diego? What is it? And then now that we're using the modal, it is not necessary to transform the verb. We keep it like just the base form. Okay. That would be it. We have past simple, we have past perfect. We already made the adjustments. Nice. Let's see Manuela's. It is not necessary to say in the last year. That is like Spanish. En el año pasado. Only last year. Okay. Manuela, what do you mean when you say I am working? ¿Qué quieres decir?
Estaba tratando de decir cuando yo estaba trabajando.
No escucho un rabanito.
El micrófono. Cuando estaba trabajando.
Ah, estaba trabajando. Listo, entonces, estaba trabajando. El pasado I am. What is the past of verb to be?
I was working.
Primero was. And now trabajando. Worked sería trabajo.
I was working. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Let me see the chat. Pero yo no puedo decir lo edito con Paint, pero no sé cómo mandarlo porque vas. Valentina, de pronto envíalo al grupo de WhatsApp que ustedes tienen y de pronto alguien le hace el favor y lo pone en su diapositiva. Su diapositiva es la número Ortiz, la 9. Seguramente algún compañerito muy amablemente le hace el favor. Don't worry. In the meantime, I'll continue reading. This is Sebastián's. Bueno, está M de May minúscula. Okay, the thing is that for the moment, you are using only past perfect. Everything is in past perfect. Yes, and I think I still have it. Yes, there it is. For example, in the first part, you can say that is the beginning of the story. Like your friend had asked you. Las mayúsculas, Sebastián, tienes muchas mayúsculas aquí. A few también. To cover some unexpected expenses. He agreed to lend. He told me that he had found a new job. Well, anyway, you still have, like, I'm sure more details to add, but not too hard on past perfect. Beatriz. I always have been thinking, bueno, in this case, always goes in the middle of have and been. I have always been thinking to have a car for my security. Beatriz, ¿me escuchas?
Yes, miss.
Ok. Que no voy a hacer los cambios. Wink, wink. To have a car for my security. I think a comma would be a good pause after security, comma. Then I have, he decidido.
Empezar a ahorrar.
No, pero eso es lo que quieres decir. Entonces yo he decidido. Okay. Then I have decided to start saving. To start.
Saving.
Let me write it down so I can explain why. Tenemos dos verbos acá. Start and save.
Yes, miss.
In some cases, we separate them with two, right? But start is restrictive. Para decir empezar a ahorrar, we have to use ing, start saving.
Okay.
In this case, it would be ing. That is why I wrote it down and I wanted to give you a reason why. A lot of money since, but we have a situation. No.
In the past.
Yes, because if I continue reading, notice that in the next line, you say, since 2016 until 2017. I mean, it's like the action is already gone. My advice would be that don't say I have decided. Say I decided, porque ya es totalmente pasado y ya pasó. have decided, remember that in present perfect is because it still has, let's say, a connection with present.
Okay.
And also the idea that now in present you have your car, right, Beatriz? Up to today you have your car.
Until?
No, I'm asking you like a general question. Today you have a car, right?
Yes, teacher.
Good.
I have a car in this moment.
Very good. So you already, let's say, fulfill that idea. So in this case, we can use past perfect. That in the past, you had always been thinking to have a car for your security. Then that was your dream, like first. You had that dream. The next step was for you to save money. You save money from 2016 to 2017. So notice how the events in the past, first having the dream, then saving the money. And now we can make it like a little bit more dynamic. Since until 2016. I would use here something to connect. When I bought my first car and I was driving for 6 years. ¿Lo estaba manejando? ¿Lo estuve manejando? ¿Lo he estado manejando? What do you mean, Beatriz?
Lo he estado manejando.
Ah, bueno. So in this case, you can use now present perfect because I was driving, okay? Lo estaba manejando más. But as I was asking you, like in present, you still have your car.
I have been driving.
I have been. Now you can use present perfect because in this moment of your life, the car is still with you. I have been driving it for 6 years. In this moment, I am saving up a lot of money to change the new car. Remember, 2 is like the reason. 4 would be the recipient. So not 4, but 2. You're changing the money, excuse me, you're saving the money to change the new car.
Okay.
To change the car. Yeah, because it is implicit that is why you're saving. Okay, That's good.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you. I'm gonna add 5 more minutes. Of course, you know that I will check your ideas eventually, especially to see the movements talking about past simple, past perfect, past continuous. This is Xiomara's my story after finishing college. This is Spanish. Después de terminar la universidad, like la universidad. I start.
Pero el colegio.
Ah, colegio. Ah, no, entonces sería school. College es universidad cuando no tiene programas de posgrado. University es que tienen posgrado. I thought that you were talking about university, Xiomara. Because after finishing high school, that would be like our context, comma. ¿Yo comienzo o yo comencé?
Yo comencé.
So put it in past.
Yes.
What is the past of start?
Started.
To buy my computer. I kept the money my father gave me while studying. Until I had 1 million and my dad gave me the rest of the money that was missing to complete the, okay. What you have is good enough for the moment, of course. Thank you, Xiomara. Hola, I was in the mall with my mom and I remember that my friend was going to have a birthday. Okay, good line startings, Jessica. Past simple and for the moment past continuous, giving like the idea of context. We'll see how the story ends. It's sad. When I was studying German at night and my uncle-in-law called me. Marlon, ¿me llama o me llamó? My uncle-in-law called me.
Me llamó, teacher, ¿cómo sería?
Yes, put it into past then. For a favor, we'll see. Juan Mendy is editing his slide. 18 maybe is working. Mandy, yours is 18, you know?
Yes, teacher, but Marlon is in my slide.
But Marlon is in 16. Well, whatever. I guess for the moment, you didn't complain, so you always like solve these situations. That's okay. Okay, Manuel is about to finish it, I think. 4 months ago. ¿Qué pasa con las comas? 4 months ago, comma. I was looking for an apartment to rent. I could look for my house. Bueno, veo mayúsculas, minúsculas. I found a traffic jam. Careful with that J.
Sorry, teacher.
Yeah, in this case, I found a traffic jam. I mean, J in terms of that, we need only low case. A group of traffic.
Okay.
We're checking the document. Ah.
Yes.
That looks sad, Manuel.
Yes, that was very sad, teacher.
Until I have or until I had. Remember that this is an event that already happened. It says, I'm taking my vehicle. After 3 days. ¿Qué pasa con esas mayúsculas? I was able to get the money. Well, I was able to. Este to va a afectar cualquier verbo que usted ponga ahí adelante. Entonces, I was able to get the money and pay the fine because this pay is being affected by these two. Okay, so we can't add ing. With
Okay,
and discount, a big amount of my savings were taken that day. I hadn't had experience like this before, and I hope not repeating it in the future, hopefully. Thank you, Manuel.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, let's have a look at Karen's. A black sweater. You said the price of the sweater was surprised me. What do you mean, Karen? The price of the sweater was surprised me.
Que el precio pues, del suéter me sorprendió.
Okay, that's the price of the sweater surprised me. Was is not necessary because was it like fue o era and doesn't match. The first price was 80. The second price was 50. And it's the final price. Here the final was okay. That is a nice bargain. Oh my God. I'm going to save money. Okay, you said like at the moment I thought so. In that case, of course, when we think of stories, we use exactly the same words that we said in that precise moment. In this case, we don't need the D. Remember, we have two. It's already making the transformations. Ay, ¿qué se pegó? Lo siento. I'm going to save money. Ahora, Karen, because you're talking about the words that you said. So at the moment I thought, let's use air quotations. Oh my God, I'm going to save money because I will buy this sweater. Esas fueron las palabras exactas que usted dijo en ese momento. That is why we have to put them inside quotations, okay?
Okay, teacher.
Let me keep on reading. Since then, I have been wearing it because it's one of my favorite sweaters. That would be it. Let's see. Okay, almost there. María Alejandra. I was walking with my cousin to spend time together. María Alejandra. We was? Was? Eso. Near my house and we talked about. Como about es una preposición, María, obligatoriamente, si va una acción, debe ir en ing. That's a rule that we can't break. Buying something cold in the shop, like a bottle of water, or maybe. I said that it was right, but just a few minutes later, we were going to the shop. I saw a ice cream. Ice empieza con vocal, entonces va a o an, María. And I hadn't eaten ice cream in a week. María.
Teacher, I
A or an. Ya casi creo que alcanzó a revisar. ¡Ay! Va a sonar. I asked her about. Bueno, ¿y qué te conté del about de arriba? Lo mismo aplica acá. She said yes, then I saw that my wallet wasn't in my bag and I didn't have money. Oh, no. ¿Qué te dije arriba del about? Haz el cambio. Don't forget it. Eso es. And Vanessa's. Now the university had to borrow your books. I had written down the renewal date and the of the book so as not to forget it. And away friends. That's why I book and I saw the renewal date the following Monday. I went to the library and I handed over the book in the library and gave me the value of the fine. They were okay. It happened to me a long time, but with a few books after paying, I was borrowing new books. Let's see, let me see the chat. Kiara finished, Jorge wrote first. Let me go back so we can check it and wrap it up. But I had already had a look at the first part. I had worked with it. I had to buy over. Jorge, para que haya concordancia en número. Other es plural. I had to buy other things for my college and the money wasn't enough for the computer. When this happened, cada vez que arranquemos con when, if, nos toca ponerla como when this happened, I had worked again for 2 more months to have set up para, no, I would eliminate this. Porque ya el pasado me lo está dando este. I had worked against 2 months, like the reasons was to save up money. Okay, lastly, I was looking at the store for the best option and I finally decided. You want to say here, Jorge, decidí comprar?
Yes, teacher.
Decided to buy.
I decided to buy. Okay.
Yeah. The past is already on the first verb. And one more, I think it was Kiara. Okay, nice. Different kind of activities. The same. In this case, kinds, we have to put it in plural, tipo de actividades. Bueno, tenemos que repasar esto del 4 y el 2. In that family like raffles and food sales. I love the animals. Then I decided to help with some activities, but it wasn't in Bucaramanga. Sol, como que sold, me imagino que so. I couldn't buy food. I bought 5 tickets in different raffles. In last Christmas Eve, I went from Barranca. When 3 unknown people phoned me. They had phoned me because I had won 3 raffles with 3 different prizes. That's a lucky one. Very good. Well, guys, remember that I know that some of you haven't finished. And of course, when we're talking about writing stories, this requires a lot of time. For the ones that haven't finished, this slide is going to be available until tomorrow at 6 p.m. I know that tomorrow you will be busy, guys, because you will be presenting your project. Don't forget, guys, I'm sure that you have already read the information. That the idea is that you upload the material on a folder that I provided you. Remember that I already sent this presentation. I sent it yesterday. Monday seems like so far away. So you can click on the material. Basically, it's the same thing. So you can upload it just to be sure of that. Remember, guys, that all of you have to be ready. I'm not going to start with number 1 and I'm not going to finish with number 9. All of you must be present during the development of the presentations. Make sure that you have everything organized. The one that is going to be sharing the screen, the turns that you have, everything is going to be counted, okay? Remember that you are going to have up to 7 minutes. And I was telling you, 7 minutes include the moment you start sharing, when you stop sharing, when I give you the feedback, and then we go to the next group. It is not like you have to spend 7 minutes presenting. That's not the idea. I want just to make sure that we have enough time for everything. Remember, guys, that your camera has to be on. It's mandatory. I know that some of you, because of connection, this can be an issue. I really, really hope that you can solve it for tomorrow, because without camera, you can't literally, or no, you won't be allowed to make the presentation. And of course, when you finish presenting, you have to stay during the session. It is not that you present and you go. Otherwise, there would be, I have to put like you didn't attend 1 or the 2 hours of the session. Don't forget the rubric. That is the same rubric that we use for the speaking part. And when we finish all the information or all the presentations, we will talk about the information for the exam, okay? Guys, I would like to know if you have any questions about tomorrow's presentation. Okay. Well, guys, that would be it. I really hope that you can finish your story, and that would be all. See you tomorrow. Be ready for your presentations. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Bye, teacher.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.